Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Uma that is Manhattan Cafe. We're going to go ahead and take a look at what her stat bonuses are, as well as her skills, and where she kind of fits in the meta in terms of the Umas coming up, as well as other champions meetings, and whether or not she might be an Uma that you might want to pull. And so with that, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So Manhattan Cafe, I know, is probably a pretty popular one. I know quite a few people who want to pull for her. And so right off the bat, when we look into her stat bonuses, unlike any other Uma we've had, she has just got a flat 30% in stamina. No bonuses anywhere else. It is all in stamina. And so for some people, that might make it a little bit easier to kind of hit stat thresholds, especially when it comes to like Libra Cup. And that is because I know a lot of people are doing like a stamina build with a lot of stamina sparks and trying to use power cards. But even with that, it can be hard on these really long races to hit enough stamina where potentially you might only need one gold recovery versus two, or even get high enough to get two gold recoveries. But this makes it where you can do that power build and thus potentially have a much higher power, which is going to be very, very strong on races like Libra Cup. Now, the downside is you don't have a bonus to speed or power or anywhere else to kind of help you out there. So even though it might make it easier to do that power build and get enough stamina, you're also going to need that additional speed card, potentially 2 or 3, just to make sure you can max out speed, because maxing out speed is the most important thing when it comes to the builds. So she can be a little bit tricky, but if you have your sparks built around her, she will be no problem at all. And so when we get into the aptitudes here, she's one of those that has aptitudes that I like to see, where she only is A in 3 things, but she is fairly versatile. Now, she can't do dirt, but she is A in turf, A in long, and A in late. So one big thing on that is I don't think we've had a single Uma yet that only has 3 A's, and one of them being long. I think most of the ones with only 3 A's are medium and mile. And so she can be one that can be a very good parent just for the fact, or even grandparent, you're going to be able to hit long A a lot more reliably. So very nice in just that regard, but she's also able to easily be in medium. If you're ever going to build her for medium, I mean, you're going to have medium sparks, so she's easily brought up to an A. You can also make her work for mile, being mile F. It'll just take a little bit more work to make her very good for that, but you're still going to bring mile sparks, so it's going to still be possible to hit the thresholds you want there. And then she is A in late. She is C in end and C in pace. Now, I will say the negative with these is because you're going to want the sparks for your distance to bring them up and potentially get them S in champions meetings, having to use sparks on a strategy to bring her up to A when you make her an ace just is going to make it a little bit harder to get that inspiration there. But by bringing them, it's always potential that you can get the triple S of S turf, S long, and S end or something like that. But it will just mean it'll be a little bit more work and having to take a little bit more chance when it comes to that. Because I'm going to see, especially if you're building her for Libra Cup, end closer is the direction you're going to want to go with her, and not late surger, even when you look at kind of what her skills are. And that is the first thing we're going to see is chasing after you with her unique. It's going to be similar to gold ships, but it's going to have a little bit more conditions to it. So it's chase after an unseen friend when in the mid pack in the second half of the race, moderately increasing your velocity and steadily and very slightly intimidating runners ahead. And so effectively, it's just like gold ships, where it's a 0.25 speed increase for 6 seconds. So a very, very long speed increase on the long races. And so she's going to be able to move up quite a bit on that. But because of the conditions of mid-pack, it wants you to be within 4th through 6th place. So very, very conditional. She just can't be in the back of the backpack. She has to be kind of in the middle, which is kind of why you see she's more of a late chaser in that aspect. And so it'll be easier to hit that. But by being so far ahead and not having access to a skill like straightaway spurt, which gold ship and all the end closers currently have, it can be a little bit weaker there. So pretty good. And with it being, I think end closers being popular enough, I feel like if you can build a strong mid game on her, she can still hit these conditions fairly easily, because that's where you're going to kind of want your Uma to be anyway when it comes to hitting the late race and popping off to ultimately win, because that's realistically, if you've done any practice races in Libra Cup, most of the time, the winner is going to be whichever end closer is the farthest ahead and gets their straightaway spurt / no stopping me off. No stopping me being harder to hit for our late surgers. So that's just the case there. And so when we go into our other innate skills, rainy days, I mean, it's a gut screen, not really all that crazy, but she has that built in. And then stamina eater. So this basically works like a white recovery, but also drains a little bit of stamina from someone else. Now she has the gold version of this at stamina siphon, which is basically like a mid-tier heal. So it's like inheriting a Super Creek's alt, 3-star Super Creek's alt or a Fantasy Grass Wonder. So it's not quite a white heal, but it's a lot more than a white heal, but it's not quite a gold heal. It's kind of in the middle there, which might be all you really need, especially if you can get a lot of stamina on her, which might make it where you have the potential to add a lot more mid-game skills, which those mid-game skills are going to be good because you want to push her up into that 6th through 4th place for then ultimate activating her alt. And so potentially being able to save some stamina by only needing this potentially. You'll need to get her very high in stamina, but it can make it where you can save some skill points for other skills when we are so skill point starved right now. Now she has built in Slick Surge, which is the white version of On Your Left. On the long races, I mean, that is so gambly, and I would not use it, especially like on Libra. Even if you are bringing her as a late surger, you're still going to want to go with the no stopping me skill there. But it's very expensive for what it is, especially if you don't get any hints on it, because this is going to be the default max cost. Then you have along straightaways and long corners. So some good midway skills. It just gives you the mid-race skills right off the bat to help kind of keep your, I won't say mid-race, they can activate anywhere, but very good for helping push you ahead and getting you into that better position, especially if you use her as an end closer. And so overall, that's pretty much it on her. Nothing too crazy. I mean, I'm not going to be pulling for her. I wouldn't mind having her. I do like the 30% on the stat bonus for stamina, especially since my direction for Libra Cup was kind of a little bit different than a lot of other people. I built very high power sparks. I went with 12 power and 4 stamina when it came to my parents for building my ace. And so when I tried to do a power build with power cards on that, because I was trying to max speed, max power, and as well as getting high enough stamina where I only needed 1 gold skill, it was just not happening. And I had to more reliably rely on stamina cards to make it work. Even on gold ship, I still used a Super Creep over my Rice Shower power card because it was just that hard. So 30%, that additional 10% might be enough to really make it work and make it possible to get that max power, max speed, even for someone that might not have as strong of a deck as I do. So I'll have to kind of see what people are able to make with her, but 30%, just know speed's going to be a little bit harder. It's already a pain in the butt on Gold Ship, and the Gold Ship had the advantage, though, that you get 10% power, so when you have higher speed cards alongside your stamina, you're at least getting a bonus to power from speed, while in this case, you are not, so it's going to be a little bit more tricky in that aspect. And then I do like her ultimate. I mean, Gold Ships basically is, Gold Ships doesn't have a decrease current speed of everybody in front of you. But the people in front of you, especially like if you think from a Libra Cup perspective, are people you should be just blowing by anyway if you win the gamble and getting no stopping me and straightaway spurt off as an end closer. You should just take off and pass them, the pace chasers and the front runners. So I'm not too worried about slowing them. I want to slow down the other end closers, which, depending on your position, I mean, being in 4th through 6th, you're probably going to be one of the more forward end closers. So a lot of them are still going to be behind you at that aspect. So kind of tricky there. But I mean, we've seen how strong it is on Gold Ship. If you trigger it, it's just going to push her very far forward and make it that much easier for her to take off. So if everything goes right with this alt, very, very good shot that she is going to win that race. And then, I mean, everything built into our normal skills. Oh, I missed Highlander here as well. Highlander being a good skill, kind of a gamble skill on Libra Cup because we start right off the bat on an uphill. So it can kind of work like Uma's stand to push her forward. And so that can be very, very useful, even even as a end closer here, because you want to be in the front of the end closer pack. So having that push her forward, just like Umastan can, even though she's going to back up still when she paces down, it will be a little bit easier to keep her in the front. So, and she can also, like, this is not just for long races. She can do mediums and miles as well. So this late charger stuff is still going to be useful. I just don't think it'll be as useful on the long tracks, which is what the rest of her kit's kind of built around. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's Manhattan Cafe. Let me know if you plan on pulling for her. And that's pretty much it for now. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.